Hello and welcome. I'm Amritan Shira and you're watching Law of the Land on Rajya Sabha TV. Today we bring to you the recently passed Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2015. To discuss the issue, I have with me Mr. Pradeep Kumar, former Special Secretary, Ministry of Mines, and Mr. Sudeep Srivastav, environment activist. The Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2015 creates a new category for mining licenses in the country. It proposes a two-stage process for exploration of mineral deposits and mining operation by granting a single license. All licenses shall be granted through auction by competitive bidding, including e-auction.
The Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Bill was recently approved by the Parliament. It will now be mandatory for miners to obtain licenses from central government. The bill provides for two methods of granting mineral license: competitive bidding, where mineralization is established, and first come first serve, where it is not established. The Union government intends to change the Mines and Minerals Act to regulate mining sector. The attempt is to regulate the mine sector in view of the global mining parameters and environment sustainability.
So far the mining industry was in an animated suspension because most of the state governments have not granted the second or subsequent renewal. This act is a good savior to the existing mining industry that non-captive mines, if they have already completed 50 years, will get further extension of 5 years, and captive mines up to 15 years. But captive mine will have the right to first refusal to match the highest bid, but non-captive mine will not have the right to first refusal.
The bill requires a license cum mining lease, which is a two-stage concession for the purpose of undertaking prospecting operations followed by mining operations. All leases shall be granted through auction by competitive bidding, including e-auction. It provides to allocate maximum area of 10 square kilometers for miners for the development of any minerals. It empowers the central government to increase or allot additional mining area for a person instead of providing additional leases. This sovereign allocation power was not there for the central government in the existing law.
Like for instance, if I am a miner and if I know that there are secure laws and I have it for 30 years, it won't make a difference whether it's going to be there for the next 20 years down the line. So if we look at if I ask a person, even if the miner takes a lease, if you go today and ask any company, do they have a 50-year plan? So very, very unlikely.
The bill allows transfer of lease to any eligible person with the approval of the state government and as specified by the central government. Transfer is considered as approved if state government does not convey its approval in 90 days, and no transfer shall take place if the central government communicates in writing that the transfer is not eligible. Mines and Minerals Development Regulation Bill was earlier amended in 2008, and it could not help the authorities to devise any mechanism for fair allocation. The bill was again amended to implement the process after CAG audit pointed discrepancies in allocations. The Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Bill was introduced in 2011 in Lok Sabha, and the bill had lapsed as the House was dissolved for general elections.
MMDR bill passed by the Parliament gives scope for miners to adopt fair allocation processes defined in the bill. President Pranab Mukherjee has recently given assent to the bill passed by both the houses of the Parliament. With camera person Smriti, I'm Rajkamal Rao, Rajya Sabha TV.
In the existing law, in respect of 10 minerals like iron ore, manganese, bauxite, copper, gold, etc., state governments needed to obtain the prior approval of the central government before grant of mineral concessions. The new law removes the need for such prior approval from the central government, thereby making the process quicker and simpler. Sir, straight away to you. Do you really feel that all the issues that were there in the mineral sector have been addressed through this passed bill, this new amendment that has been passed by both the houses of Parliament? Yes, sir.
Mr. Ray, first a small correction. Now, since it has got the approval of the Parliament, both houses, and the assent of the President, it is not a bill, it's an amendment act now.
Correct.
Which is called
Thank you for the
Amendment
thank
Act
you for.
2015.
In fact, I was under this confusion for a long time.
It doesn't remain a bill.
Yes,
it is an act now.
But what happens if I mean it is yet to be approved by the president?
No, it got presidential assent on 26th of March 2015.
Okay, that's information to me, sir. Thank you very much for.
It comes into force from 12th of January.
Super.
Of 2015.
Okay. Now, does this address the issues that have been plaguing the mining sector?
Mr. Rai, there have been a plethora of issues and different stakeholders have been raising various problems about the mine sector. I will say the legislation tries to tackle most of the issues. Now, some issues will remain, but it tackles most of the issues.
Like, what are the issues that remain, according to you?
Well, you see, I will say the main problem is that even though now you have an Amendment Act, but implementation will be a major concern because you have laws, in different areas, but the implementation part has been the major problem. So how the law is implemented will be the most crucial issue.
Implementation is a wide word, sir. Since you are seized of the matter, you are an expert in the field, I would like you to dispel and try to elaborate what you mean by implementation. On the ground level, there's been issues of weak institutions, inadequate monitoring, feeble enforcement. All these are part of implementation. Where do you see this not really panning out the way the bill wants it to?
For example, take the case of district level mineral foundation.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, which is a new foundation, which is a non-profit body, which is conceived here, where the mine leaseholder will be contributing a sum, a part of the royalty, in addition to the payment of royalty. Now, how this mineral foundation at the district level will function? What will be the composition? What will the functions? What is the objective? How the state governments will empower this foundation? And the most important part is a system is as good as the people who manage the system. What sort of people will be there to manage the system? How, now this district level foundation is basically to take the interest and take care of the interest and benefit of the affected people and affected area.
Correct.
Now, how this is implemented? Now, those rules have to be framed by the different state governments. Every state government will be free to decide for their own state what sort of rules they frame, what sort of people are there to manage the district level foundation. So that is a part of implementation. Now you have an empowering provision that you will have some money for the affected people. Now how that money will be utilized for the benefit of the affected people remains to be seen. So that is a part of implementation. And this I will extend to all other provisions also. For example, the National Mineral Exploration Foundation at the central level. How that foundation will be able to exploit our mineral potential.
I think that's where we need to get Sudeep, because Sudeep is the people's person. He will be able to tell us what the people's point of view is. Correct, Sudeep?
Yeah.
How do you see this panning out? The issues raised by Sir here. Sir has clearly said that implementation, and especially the fund that is being created at the district level, I mean, it's all ambiguous. There's no clarity on how it is going to be benefiting the people for whom it is meant.
I totally agree with the concern raised by Mr. Kumar, because this fund, whether it would be utilized for annuity to grant affected people directly, or it would be utilized for construction works like road and schools building and etc. And if state governments adopt a methodology that it should be utilized in the construction of road and school buildings and other government work, then obviously the affected people are not going to get anything. First of all,
I get the point. My one question that is coming to my mind. First of all, sir, here I need clarity from you on this. Can the center, does the center have the right to also elaborate and codify how the district fund will be disbursed? Does it have the power?
You see, firstly, let us be fair. Legislation can't meet all the details. Now, it has
but is it within the powers of the center or not?
It has to be done through the rules. And
is it within the powers of the center or not?
Point is, it is a district level foundation. You have a federal structure. Now, you can't expect the central government to take care of the district level body. It has to be done by the state government.
Correct.
In a federal structure, you can't have the central government to assume power on that.
I was meeting various select committee members when this was under discussion. And I have suggested, and most of the members, like some opposition parties, were agree on that suggestion, that at least 2 amendments must be there, but in this law itself, that mineral foundation will have a majority of representative of affected people.
Okay.
First of all. The second thing, substantial, at least half of the fund generated through this payment would be utilized for annuity purpose.
Correct.
At least these two amendments must have been there. But this bill was passed in a hush-hush manner, and
I get it. Sudeep, I understand. I'll come back to you. The discussion will continue on the other side. It's time for us to head into a break. When we come back, we will talk about the extended lease tenure that mining companies are likely to get. Welcome back. The bill allows 50 years long tenure for mining leases. It also makes provisions to extend lease retrospectively for mines allotted before the passage of the bill. The bill proposes to set up a district mineral fund so that leaseholders can provide annual compensation to people affected by mining operations.
Any miner who has a mining lease granted before 2015 can extend his lease for 50 years from the date of allotment. The Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2015 amends the existing act to give lease extensions in retrospective manner. Under the existing act, a mining lease was granted for a maximum of 30 years and a minimum of 20 years and could be renewed for a year not exceeding 20 years.
If the industry is not able to bear the thing and if they close down, then they have to think in this aspect. Another aspect the government has to think is that any imposition of tax will have the direct repercussion on the cost of the production of the raw material. That is passed on to the buyer. And whether the buyer, because if passing to the buyer, the cost of final product will increase and ultimately the consumer of the country will suffer.
The bill allows granting a 50 years lease period for all minerals other than coal, lignite and atomic minerals, and it also allows the existing leases to extend for a period of 50 years from the date of allotment. The bill specifies that any lease granted before the commencement of the bill will be extended up to 31st March 2030 for minerals used for captive mining and up to 31st March 2020 for minerals used for other than captive purposes, or whichever is later. All the areas of mining will be put to auction after the completion of the lease period and no extension will be allowed. The provision will not apply to mining leases for which renewal has been rejected, granted or lapsed. The bill adds a new 4th schedule to the earlier act to include bauxite, iron ore, limestone and manganese as notified minerals.
Large mines run over several villages, and like if one single mine is there, so the intervening villages, intervening connectivity, like even if there are 2 coal blocks or 2 big bauxite mines, now the tendency would be to take a single lease. So mostly mineralization occurs in a belt of 1-2 kilometers or 3 kilometers. So imagine somebody having a lease of 3 kilometers by 30 kilometers long. So there might be roads, several other access points. So then the kind of trouble that rest of the people would have to go through would be much more significant.
The bill provides for creation of a District Mineral Foundation DMF to work for the benefit of persons in mining affected areas. Licenses and leaseholders will pay a maximum 1/3 the royalty prescribed by the central government to DMF for the welfare of locals. The bill also made provisions to establish National Mineral Exploration Trust NMET for regional and detailed mine exploration.
Miners associations and members of industry body want the government to make good use of the district mineral fund that is meant for the development of local people who are affected by the mining lease. With camera person Smriti, I am Rajkamal Rao, Rajya Sabha TV.
Indian mining industry has not seen the type of exploration as in other countries. To address this, the amendment proposes to set up a national mineral exploration trust created out of contributions from the mining leaseholders. This would allow the government to have a dedicated fund for undertaking exploration. So the first question I'll bring to you is, there is no, see, it's a price mechanism thing. They have been saying constantly that more mineral activity, more lease activity being given to people, more effective, and the costs are likely to be affected. But at the same time, they have not addressed the captive mines issue, because that is one that always destabilizes the price mechanism of the other mineral resources that are mined all across the place.
Let me put it from a different point of view. From a different point of view. This act was actually brought by seeing the success of coal auction. And it was envisaged that the similar kind of auction must take place in other mineral as well. So what this act is doing, this act has a provision that all existing prospecting license and reconnaissance permits, which are mostly given for captive users and not for the functioning industry. The modus operandi was very simple: just sign an MOU and get a prospecting license. And now this act is converting that preferential right in the earlier law into a permanent one. So if you intend to auction, which is the main theme of this act, there is nothing left. Most of the mineral deposits are already under PL. So if there is nothing to auction, then what this act is going to achieve is the basic question nobody is raising.
Do you agree with that?
No.
Do you really? Because see, they have tried to allow exploration and all other things. There are some 190 such mines which are probably under the scanner and are being looked at as potential. But he says that is yet to come. That's way ahead. As of now,
not only mining,
all that is there has already been settled.
Yes.
So what are you going to bring
not
this?
really, Mr. Rai. Now there are 2-3 issues which are raised. One is that, earlier the lease period, mining lease period was 30 years, which is raised to 50 years now. And earlier, after 30 years, you had to seek a renewal of the mining lease. Now, straight away, now it has been raised to 50 years. So that saves the trouble of moving a renewal application, which had to come to the central government in the matters of minerals which are part of Schedule 1, isn't it? Now, that certainly, helps the miner that they get the mining lease for a longer period. So it provides some sort of stability.
Yes,
that is one point. Now, second, it is not correct to say that somebody who has not taken any action for prospecting or reconnaissance under RP, then he will continue to hold the license. After all, there is a period for a RP and a prospecting license.
Sure.
For prospecting license, this is 3 years, which can be raised by another 2 years, but total is 5 years. Now, if somebody has not taken any action, law doesn't say that he will continue to hold it. Now, if somebody has taken a PL or a RP, on some ground, then law does not allow that he will continue to hold it. There is a specific condition mentioned. Unless action has been taken to implement that RP or the PL, he loses the right. And then it goes for fresh auction. So I think we have to see in the correct perspective, and we have seen the legislation in the right form.
Sudeep, you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's not as simple as that as Mr. Kumar is putting up, because those conditions which have been mentioned, if you have not complied certain conditions, the similar kind of conditions are routinely mentioned in mining leases. And what we have seen, that even the mining leases on which Supreme Court Commission, Saha Commission, Bellari reports are there, and they have said that so many violations, even those mining leases have been extended for 50 years by this act. So the intent behind this, bringing this legislation, is just to give away everything without any cost, free of everything, free. So this, there is nothing remain for auction. Nothing remain for auction.
Firstly, it is not correct that all the mining areas have been taken under PL or the mining leases.
Almost
everybody accepts that.
I actually challenge government to issue a white paper on this.
No.
What remains with you?
No.
So what he is saying is
That may
there
be a
are
fair
all
point.
mines have been already taken.
No,
so you
Mr.
are
Rai,
extending the.
Mr. Rai, you are aware that there is a serious criticism about India that we have not developed our potential at all.
Correct.
Now, how can you make a sweeping charge that all the mining areas have been accessed under PL or the RP or the mining
Government
lease?
must come with a white
Now,
paper.
second
Government
part
must
is,
come
that is
with
the
a
first
white
part.
paper
That
on
is
this.
first part. That is a very sweeping comment. Now, our potential remains totally unexplored and exploited. So, this legislation will certainly facilitate
that
development,
I understand. One last point, sir.
development of
I get
that
it.
area.
On the
and
last...
secondly, let me just say, it is not correct to say that somebody has taken a PL, so he continues to hold the PL. After all, there is a legal problem. If somebody had a PL or a mining lease, you can't terminate that lease. It poses a legal problem, because if somebody has taken action to implement that, somebody has made investment, you can't straight away curtail it, his right to continue with that PL or the ML. Now, it will be totally against the principle of natural justice. So what the legislation does is to recognize the right of a PL holder or a mining lease holder to continue under certain conditions.
Sir, that's all we have time for. Sudeep, that's all we have time for. Moving on, my colleague Raj Kamal Rao spoke to Mr. Sanjay Upadhyay, founder, Enviro Legal Defense Firm.
When you're depositing royalty in a, let's say, a district fund or whatever has been created, there the real issue is that the area which ordinarily goes for mining is not just a state versus a private party, but there are a lot of people who are dependent on that. People may have rights, people may have usufruct rights, and there are a lot of dependence on it. Now today there is no mechanism to prioritize how this fund will be utilized. So there is absolutely again state versus the private party, and there is no participation of people who are actually affected or may be affected in that area. So I think prioritization is important. If you recall even the Samata judgment earlier, or even the Balco judgment, and later the Periphery Development Fund concept in Orissa, for example, there was some mechanism of how to decide priorities of fund utilization. I don't think that is clear in this bill, if I understand it correctly.
Thank you, sir, for joining us on this discussion. It's time for us to end the show. We will be back with a new issue and a new episode. Keep watching Raj Sabha TV.